Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. I'm your host, Innkeeper, and this is your live call-in talk show all about the Wheel of Time. And we're back talking about Season 2. There hasn't been too much Season 3 or news been dropped. We did get that Samael leak that you guys tuned in and saw Brian the Gleeman talk about last week. But other than that, we really haven't had that much. So we're going to continue our series looking back at our main characters, their arcs from the start, and mainly focusing on where they are in Season 2, what have they done, and look forward to Season 3 and the Shadow Rising. Tonight we are talking about Perrin Aybara, our wolf brother blacksmith from the Two Rivers, who unfortunately has done a lot more damage. Perrin, killed someone again, unfortunately. And here to talk about that moment and many other moments are my two wonderful guests. It's Silvertooth and Jessica Sedai. Welcome.
Hi, friends.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. So we have had we haven't had much Season 3, right? It is almost end of January 2024. Let's actually ask. I have a poll out there. I asked people which was your favorite character interaction from Season 2, and they're all Perrin interactions, obviously. Vienda, Elias, Hopper, and Dane. Robbie, let me go to you first. What's your pick on that? What did you pick, and what did you?
So I picked Hopper for obvious reasons. However, I will throw out that I absolutely loved Perrin Avienda scenes, even though that's not something that's actually from the book. I thought it was really well done. We were talking about that pre-show.
Yeah.
But my answer was clearly and obviously Hopper, because
yeah,
it was awesome. The wolf dog. I can never get it right.
Lupinka?
Kalupinka.
Kalupinka.
Yeah.
Was fantastic. All of the scenes were just done really well. So yeah, it's obviously Hopper.
Yeah. Before I ask you, Jess, I saw Kari. Hi guys, it's been a hot minute, and that's a good reminder. It's like Kari's like the reminder for spoilers for me, and fortunately, so when Kari finishes the books, I think she's on A Crown of Swords. I think book 7.
I think she is. Yeah.
Yeah. So this show will contain spoilers, but we really will only talk about the first 4 books, I think, for Perrin. I think there's a lot that have. I'm not going to say more than that because then we start spoiling stuff. But we will talk about the Shadow Rising. So people who are around, I've put that up there because there will be spoilers. But we'll do our best to not, spoil the end of the books. And if there is something you guys want to talk about, let me know, and I'll throw on a full book spoilers. But yeah, Jess, what did you choose from that?
Well, mine was a little bit of an upset because after some deep soul searching, Perrin and Avienda won out over Perrin and Hopper, which was a hard sell for me because Hopper is the bestest boy and, really one of Perrin's finest qualities for a very long time. So, but those moments were just so endearing. Great way to intro the Aiel, great way to intro Avi. It's really, when I really sat down and thought about it to answer the Dusty poll, I was like, I have to be honest, Avi wins.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what this poll seems to be doing. I'm going to end this poll, and it's about 48% of the votes here, 47 that have chose Perrin and Avienda. Hopper, 23, Dane 22, and Elias 6. I personally liked the Perrin Dane interaction. I thought that was really cool. Jay Duffy was awesome, and I like what it promises, because I think that's, and we'll get into it. But I think Dane, as a character, was just instantly so charismatic in a way that I never thought Dane to be. And the only reason I didn't think of Avienda is not because she didn't do well, because it's Gaul, So it's like that, the thing you spoke about. It would have been great to have Gaul in that moment. But and why not Hopper? Because, well, it's really just sad. So I want to not focus on the sad stuff. All right, so let me see. What were we talking? We were talking about. Did you bring up Gaul or no? What did you bring up? I was going to do another poll.
Backstage, we talked about Gaul.
But there's something else that we just spoke about that is escaping me now, that I wanted to end this poll and do that. I'll remember it. That's fine. But hey, Perrin, if you just start, from the start, where he starts season 2 is much different than where we see him in the books, right? It's the trio of them with the Shannarans and Varen that are on the hunt, and in this case it's just Perrin. So just like that change, how did that affect Perrin's journey in season 2?
I feel like it was the platform for him to be exposed to a lot of different viewpoints and world perspectives that left him kind of malleable and open to other perspectives. I feel like that set the stage for that. He's on his own trekking with people who are not from the Two Rivers, and just kind of generally made him more malleable, in my opinion. Like hanging out with soldiers, interacting with them, seeing that internal hierarchy, and how that interacts. And, Shinarans are from, uh, countries away from where Perrin is. So even just that starts as exposure. And I think that really laid the foundation for more differing world opinions that are going to come at him throughout the season.
Yeah, I think, from an exposure standpoint, I almost think Perrin has met the most most diverse group of people on Randland. So he starts out with his crew, the Two Rivers, meets the Tuatha, goes to Tar Valon, so meets people from there and Aes Sedai, goes to Shinar, then meets the Aiel, meets the Seanchan. So he's met many different people at this point than anyone else. And I think, let me bring up this quote with this interview with Screen Rant that Marcus Rutherford did, who has just been amazing in growing into this role of Perrin. I'll read this. This is basically in talking of that relationship with Shinarans, and then meeting. Obviously, I missed the Wolf Brothers. He met Elias, right? That's another group of people. So Marcus was like, with the Shinarans, he sees this military group, and for somebody who has been so opposed to violence, he's seeing the camaraderie, the leadership roles, and things like that. So I think he's learning from that group straight from the off that you can see how the time has passed. And it has been, I think, 6 months, at least, I think. Between 6 to 8 months. And then obviously with Elias, he finally brings to head this Wolf Brother thing that he's been avoiding and didn't really want to embrace up until that point, and still finds incredibly daunting. It's something that he has to learn about himself and embrace that it's not something you can just ignore anymore. So, I mean, we see it pretty much right away, right? With the Shinarans and Loyal having that bond that they've been on the road for a while, and then they meet the new. Did they call him a sniffer? What did they call him in the show?
Tracker.
Tracker. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was just
Yeah.
Tracker.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will
And
point out that when I was watching, I was doing a mad dash just rewatching Perrin scenes, obviously,
uh-huh.
for tonight, as one does. And I had what to me in my nerdy head was funny. I was like, Perrin's the forerunner to the point that you were making earlier. He's the first one, and he's the first one making contact with the Shan-Chen. He's the first one making contact with the Aiel. And so I just thought I'd share that little internal joke with you. But that's was my thought as I was watching all of these scenes back to back. Like he's get like the fast track for exposure.
So there are a couple of people. Rain Sniffer too. Sky Swirl said Loyal called him a sniffer. We'll have to go back and watch this. Okay, we'll confirm, or someone can confirm for us. But yeah, sort of in terms of that, meeting where he's like, whoa, this person, Elias. There is clearly a suspicion that Perrin had from the start that this is someone who may be doing something to me, and I'm trying to remember, from the Eye of the World, how that initial kind of interaction goes, but there was, the chance to incorporate Elias in a way that was different. Elias has always been separate, and in this he became part of a group in a way. And so, what did you think of that kind of integration of the Wolf brother into the group?
Yeah, I thought it was about as it was about as well done as they could do it given the circumstances. Like, obviously the way it happens in the book is differently, but we didn't have that opportunity in season one
Mm-hmm.
to introduce him the way he is in the book. So I think it made sense to kind of merge him with Kieran, and kind of, combine to some extent combine those powers, if you will.
Yeah.
So I think it made a lot of sense. And ultimately, the same thing still comes across. They still eventually have the conversation. He explains, what it is, and kind of, gives him the information he's going to need going forward. Because, presumably, if it's like the books, we might not see him again for a while. So.
Right. Yeah. I think there was, not having him in season one and in introducing him. I think Marcus talks about the Huron aspect of it, and those kind of merging those powers in a way, and introducing, there was a need that not to hurry it up. Parents probably been living with this for a little while, but to, like, well, you need to realize this kind of right away. And the fact that they showed Elias, and then, kind of get to the point where he's like, it has that vision with the flies and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
and Perrin's clearly like, hey, something's happening to me. This person is, maybe controlling it, but then Elias ends up saving him, I think, at the end of episode 3. And so he's like, okay, I guess I have to kind of trust this person. So, it's getting to a point where they can have the stroll in the woods with the wolves, and the wolf brother, training, am I going to become one of them? And, don't be stupid, boy. So I think, like, the fact that we needed that, I think it was well done. Just do you think there was something missing though, from that interaction? I did see some people talk about that Perrin and Elias, I mean, did score the least on our poll too. Do you think there was something missing, or is just the nature of, television and a bond like that?
I can't speak for other people, but for me, the Elias Perrin bond as a reader was beyond just a vehicle for exposition. And I would say that that didn't hit as much, with him being introduced in this condensed fashion, understanding that time is of the essence and all of that. I had more time to get attached to Elias and to see him as more of a mentor, not even just beyond the Wolf Brother role, having those conversations about how Wolf Brother, Aes Sedai don't trust what they don't understand. In fact, so do most people. Those kinds of conversations resonated more because we had more time with Elias in the books, I think. In this, Elias serves a very important role,
Mm-hmm.
helping Perrin come to terms, and also like the point you were just making, adding kind of pressure to get this process started and a catalyst to make Perrin start dealing with this. Um, but I think the trade-off for me was that I wasn't as attached to Elias. He's a means to an end. He came in, he provided this context and exposition, but he very much is kind of just encapsulated in this Wolf Brother vehicle. And I feel like I was more attached to him in my read, for what it's
Yeah.
worth.
Yeah. Rain, thank you. Loyal says, I know very little about this new tracker, the sniffer that Lord Inkter has hired. So, yeah, I think there is this abrupt, like, oh, why don't you come in, teach our hero a little bit about themselves, and then just leave? Because I think that was the weakest point of the Perrin Elias, where he just was like, well, this is not what you're supposed to do. And he's like, no, I have to go help my friend because I can see, Uno. And, I think there is a certain degree of, no, well, I don't want to be a wolf. He's trying to deny it,
Mm-hmm.
aspect of it. So that's also, well, maybe he doesn't want to stay around Elias that much. But I think it did feel, well, he was there and then he was gone very fast, which again, for the purpose of, like you said, a condensed arc for Perrin, at least we got Hopper to stay with him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that I think is more important. um, Robbie, moving on, he then, Perrin happens upon, because he's so close with the Shannarans and Uno, he's like, well, I have to go, they didn't bury him, so I need to go do that. And then he happens upon the town and meets first Avienda and then Dane. But let's kind of focus on Dane first. What did you think of that initial meeting, and how Perrin initially didn't know and then figure out, oh, that's a white cloak.
I thought it was really well done. Just especially even everything from the conversations beforehand, and then his kind of reaction once he realizes, and then him kind of watching, from the window their conversation.
Yeah.
Um, I thought it was really well done. Um, and it kind of sets up for later on, for the later scenes. So um, I I knew it was going to happen. I love Dane. Dane was perfect.
Hey, so this is people who may not know this. Silvertooth's handle on Twitter is at Perrin Taverin, and he just said he loves Dane. So, Dane, if you're listening out there,
I
Perrin's
told
showing you
him to
some
call
love.
in.
Perrin is
I
showing you
told him
some
to
love
call in.
here. We did get Megan O'Keefe from Decider ask Marcus about Dane.
Mm,
So Jess, let me have you read this.
sure. Yeah, I think what's really interesting is Perrin goes back to Adawan's mills, and this guy comes out of the mist. I don't know, he almost looks religious. He has these robes on, you can't really see. I think he still finds that any prospect of being around white cloaks incredibly daunting. Last time when one was trying to cut his back open and stuff. But I think there's something in particular about Dane that is quite interesting. It's maybe the first time he sees, are the white cloaks a monolith? They're all the same? Or can you have different people within that branch who have different outlooks and stuff? And I think Dane's a very interesting character for that.
Yeah, so I think I like how Marcus answered that. Where they tried to as somewhat of a different uh, white cloak character, and someone with maybe, and that we'd seen already maybe with his father in the first season, that there can be people. It was not as clear maybe, but I think there was a little bit more clarity. And well, yes, you have caged someone, but
he's much more sympathetic than he was in the books. That is
right.
for sure.
Yes. I mean, it is. It's. I think both. I think the writers and somehow Jay Duffy. I think there's. I wouldn't say a kindness to his face, but there's a charisma.
He's got a charm.
There's a charm for sure that is not what you expect from Dane Bornhold. But I love how he described that. It is one of my favorite scenes, them two sitting and just chatting. And then what do you think of Dane's ability to recognize? What did you recognize? Some of the metal work, I think, and then gives him the
sweating band.
Okay, and it gives him the moniker, right, of Two Rivers. What did you guys think of that aspect of it? And obviously we see the callback in episode 8. Jess?
I thought it was interesting. I don't know if it holds up for me. So watching it, I'm like, first off, I did love the throwback that Dane is again that much more charismatic than his father was over Valda in season 1. I did feel like that was a progression, so I loved that. And I really do think that Jay Duffy did an incredible role of adding charisma and dimension to a character that is universally disliked, to put it nicely. But in that moment, just that one thing is probably the only thing I can think of that Dane specifically did that kind of didn't hold water. Like, I don't know where the Bornholds were from. I don't particularly remember. But my takeaways from reading the books is that Two Rivers is so remote, right, that it doesn't even know that it's still part of Andor. And so the idea that somebody is going to recognize Two Rivers' work, it was just a little bit of a stretch.
I like where you're like, I can give Dane a lot, but that's just too much.
Well, okay, so
I gotta drive the line somewhere.
Two Rivers Tobacco is known all over the Westlands, the Rhinelands, whatever. So I mean,
but their
I guess
smithy work probably doesn't.
No, it wouldn't be. But
the tobacco is in metalwork boxes.
Okay.
I guess my point being that, like, okay, you just kind of swap those out. But, like,
Sure.
Yes, it's this remote area, but, like, white cloaks are all over the place. So, yeah, sure, as a book reader, is that a bit of a stretch? Sure. Is it a deal breaker by any means?
It didn't stop me. Right. It didn't stop me from enjoying their scenes or Jay Duffy's performance by any means. It takes a lot. I am a very biddable watcher of shows. Like, there's not a lot of deal breakers. I'm going to go along for the ride. I'm going to suspend disbelief. But in that moment, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I would have stuck with the tobacco, but it's okay.
Jennifer here makes, was it the ring or the clothes, the fabric? Elaine recognized Egwene's blanket. I mean, that's the other thing, right? Where, Elaine recognized something, but that is daughter heir.
Elaine has specifically made a study of knowing all of her
subjects.
Thank you.
That is true. So I think that interaction was great, and then the original little meeting with Avienda, and then meeting. And then the scene from the books, but not from the books, right? So, what did you think of using rescuing someone from a cage that is not Gaul, and using Avienda in that moment? Robbie, what did you think? Do you think it worked for you, or you're like, well, that should be Gaul?
Right. Yeah. Look, both. Can I answer both? It worked. It worked very well. I understand the change. I understand that Avienda is a bigger character that they wanted to introduce. So I think the change makes sense, um, because ultimately, you know, Gaul in that scene, we don't see him again until what essentially the next book, um, after that scene. So it's one of those, and yeah, of course, he becomes a huge part with Perrin. So that's my biggest fear. We kind of talked about that pre-show. Is I'm still fearful we're not going to get Gaul, just because I don't know how you actually implement the Gaul and Perrin relationship, um, now that you've given that dynamic to Avienda. That being said, I still loved it. No matter what, we still got "Do You Like to Dance, Perrin Aybara?"
Right.
And it was perfect. It was an awesome scene, so I'm not mad at it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think the this is something I think Perrin kind of talks about in a few of his interviews that yeah, we took that from Gaul. He doesn't really go into more than that. I tried to read the wording because he's talked about it in 2 or 3 interviews to be like, we took that from Gaul, but we not like Avienda replaced Gaul or something like that. So it was like a good way to build a relationship between two people that didn't exist in the books, right? And
Right.
so let me pull this up for you, Robbie, to read here. This is from Screen Rant, basically talking about the introduction of Avienda and their kind of interaction.
And I think the interaction with Avienda is really beautiful. He's still carrying this weight of violence and the trauma that comes with the ramifications of picking up a weapon or deciding to fight. He's been carrying that, and he meets someone who treats it as a dance, embraces it, and almost does it for fun. I think that is such a completely different philosophy that he has to kind of question how it's used, its purpose, and I think its inevitability as well. I think this idea of the stuff with the Tuatha in season 1, where you can choose to not be violent, I think he's starting to realize that as good on paper as it sounds, it's not actually as easy to put into practice.
Yeah, and I think the show did this really well, where, you know, especially with Perrin, we're showing him having a very violent kind of start, which it didn't happen in the books, but there was always this notion of, well, I'm the big giant person that can hurt people, and so he's hurt someone, and then having the Way of the Leaf show up, and then him kind of failing to protect his friends in episode 8 of season 1, and then going and meeting someone where he's like, well, this is a way that you could, maybe see violence and at least be exposed to violence, which is different, because the Aiel, and especially how Avienda does it, is really special. Because we're talking about that, I think we should watch some dancing, right? What do you guys think? Let me
Sure.
Perfect.
play this, and we can talk about a couple of things about the fighting style um, of of Perrin and a few things here. I'm gonna before we actually play this, let me put up a poll, asking. I don't want to inflammatorily ask, are we gonna get Gaul? So what's a good Gaul? I guess the question is,
If we get Gaul,
yeah, exactly.
how
Assuming
is
we
he
get Gaul.
introduced?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Assuming we get Gaul, how will he be best buds with Perrin? Will he be best buds with Perrin? That's the question, right? Because
You can't not have Gaul and not have the best.
all right. So assuming we get Gaul, then we have to come up with choices, right? So that's where the
Right.
poll gets difficult,
Tuesday, August 42.
um, this is where you test the how well the stream will run is if you put all of those in one poll and see the how the pattern will try to to answer that question. I guess this is
So
tough.
we could still have parents somehow saves Gaul as an option. It doesn't have
Okay,
to
yeah,
be the
all right, okay.
cage, but
How will he meet Perrin? Assuming we go, how will he meet Perrin? Perrin saves him. That's a good one. I like it.
All I had really come up with was that Gaul comes to find the Fardaris Mai. So Gaul essentially comes to them to see, well, potentially to give Avienda a message. I don't want to say anything too spoilery.
Yeah.
But maybe to see how their search for the Kara Karn is going.
Right. So Gaul comes searching for maidens of the maidens, yeah. He doesn't. Gaul is in the Threefold Land. He just doesn't meet Perrin. And where else is Perrin? I mean, Perrin's going to be in the Two Rivers, right? So there really isn't. I think that's it. Those are. I don't think we need a fourth. Fourth.
I like the fact that the third one says that Gaul is in the Threefold Land. We don't have to live in a world where Gaul doesn't exist. He's just in the Threefold.
Yeah, we see him just be around Ruark or something. He's like he's a chief or something. Let's see. I don't see any other, so I'm just going to have these three.
Just make the last option be Stonewolf.
Too late. As soon as I put that in. Okay, all right. Let's see Perrin and Avienda dance with a bunch of white cloaks. Sorry, let me fix them. Yeah.
Hold on. Are you all right? Think you can walk? Look, we should get going. But we won't get very far if I have to carry you.
One wetlander puts me in a cage. Another takes me out. Why do you help me?
People shouldn't be in cages.
My name is Avienda, of the Nine Valley Sept of the Ta'adat Aiel, Fardaris Mai. My water is yours.
I'm Perrin Aybara. Look, we need to go now.
I told you not to help her.
We don't want a fight. We just want to go our own way.
I'm sorry. Attack all at once on my signal. One at a time and she'll have you.
Perrin Aybara. Do you like to dance?
helped us. Remember?
What are you?
Let them go. Now. The rest will come down on us. We have to hurry.
Yeah, that I mean, there were so many small details that I noticed this time that I didn't, and I don't know if this was deliberate, but right at the end, he's like, he gave you water, and that like shouldn't to him be like, he doesn't know water and shade, right? But like to Avienda, that's it kind of remind me of like the Martha thing from Batman versus Superman, which a lot of people don't like. But the fact that I forget which, I think Superman says
It's Batman
Martha
versus Super. Yeah.
Superman says Martha something, and Batman's like, why'd you say Martha? Because it's both their mother's name. But in this case, like, it had meaning when he didn't even know it had meaning. And then while he's saying that, there's like water dripping in the background, and I don't know if that is choice or whatever, but it was just a neat touch. So many, probably one of the best choreographed scenes in all of the season 2. Thoughts, general thoughts on that, and then we can talk about a little bit about Marcus talks about certain fighting style that he was directed on. Robbie?
Yeah, I'll go quick. So he kind of alludes to it in the interview. And obviously, of course, the Aiel treat fighting like a dance. But I mean, hers is so fluid. She's moving from one thing to the next. And when Perrin does start fighting, it's all brutality. Just, big swing, growl, so I thought it was just really cool. The contrast of them fighting together with their very drastically different fighting styles. So
yeah, it's funny. People are pointing out that the water is from the mill's wheel. No, I mean, I understand. It's just that like they highlighted it. It was just great to have heard it in that moment more than other sounds. Yes, I think that is how mills work now. Now I'm questioning how mills work, but that clearly the chat knows how mills work. Jess, what about you? What caught your eye other than maybe the breaking bones, I guess?
Yeah, lots of bones snapping and yelping. I think I rewatched this batch of episodes as well, and still, even today, I watched it, and the fact that when she gets out of the cage, she says, "My water is yours," and it's such a small detail, but I don't remember picking up on it on my first batch of watch throughs, because obviously we know a little bit more than Perrin does in this moment what the significance of that statement was. And just her really kind of hearty chuckle when he goes to stand in front of her.
Yeah.
Just again, I'm sure I noticed that in the moment, but it gets swept up in the action so fast. So those are just a couple of my favorite beats above and beyond, the general butt kicking of maidens.
Yes, I like Rain's like, you are the water that turns the wheel. Yes, that is the theme of, I guess, season 2 is how the water directs us all.
That is how mills work, in fact.
All right, so this is from the Ragged Mount interview that Kathy did with Marcus, and they're talking about fighting styles, and and Marcus is like, what's really interesting with Perrin in particular is he's not really fighting to kill, or like I said before, he's still in this mode of like kind of defending himself and others, and being thrust into these positions, whereas you kind of see some of the other characters like Avienda, she's just having fun, and I think like that is like so kind of clearly shown, and I think in kind of another interview. This is with Screen Rant. Again, talking about fighting. Rafe actually directed some of this because Marcus was like, "No, definitely. What's funny is I always learn a fight sequence, and the stunt guys always get me doing all kinds of stuff." And then Rafe is like, "No, not yet. Anyway, they've got me doing all kinds of stuff," and it's like he's got to chill out a bit. So it's like, like you haven't leveled up enough to be showing this level of kind of. So it's like, I think it took. I'm trying to think who asked him this. I think maybe Watt Series did, or one of the interviewers, how long it took to film this, and it was like 2 weeks or something. So it was a very long time that it took to film this. But I think that whole sequence is just great, and it's great to see that the fighting sequences were so well choreographed, because that's not the first time we see Perrin fighting. We see him being dragged and fighting in episode 2 as well, where he meets the Shan-Chen. And we kind of went over that aspect of it. The Uno connection. What did you guys think of that, and the callback later on, obviously in the finale, Robbie, with him getting that shield from Uno?
Yeah, so I did I missed a little bit earlier, so I don't think I missed anything that we're talking about, but
yeah,
hopefully not. Anyway, my internet cut out. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Anyway, as far as Perrin and Uno, I liked the interactions that they had. I know there wasn't a ton, but just kind of like, obviously Perrin is traveling with the Shannarans for a long time. He gets pretty close with them, I'd say, including Inktar. So I think Inktar's scene probably affects Perrin quite a bit as well. But as far as the Uno goes, the shield was a little different for me. I'm still not sure how I feel about it. It wasn't exactly Perrin to me in that moment at the end anyway. No problem with everything up until that point. But that, to me personally, that was just a little off. I understand, in my opinion, I think it was kind of to try and make the moment bigger, and kind of give him a role for that. So I understand the choice. That doesn't mean I liked it or necessarily agree with it. But
yeah, I think I agree, Jess. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But I think they give themselves, because they don't explain what this magic shield is, they give themselves the chance to explain it. Perrin, spoiler alert, I'm gonna spoil this, does not have a shield, at least to my knowledge, that is of importance in the books. There are characters in pop culture that have shields that are important, and I'm not sure if that had something to do with that choice. Maybe, but Jess, do you have any thoughts on what they're trying to do with this? Because I think they haven't explained it.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. There's no explanation, so there's always room for explanation. Let's hope that we get one. I tend to agree with Silvertooth that it was an opportunity to reunite all of them at the end of the season. And so it was a vehicle for that, is what it seems like right now without further explanation. I also could have taken it or left it. It is a bit of a departure. So again, I usually try to be a real go with the flow kind of viewer. So I'm usually pretty good at just going, okay, let's see where they take this. And I think that probably best sums up how I feel about Uno handing off the shield.
Yeah.
And
Rajesh
out of
is like
curiosity,
Perrin Rogers.
I saw that. I love that. Does anybody know?
That's America's wolf right there.
Right. Well done. Well done.
Wow. Someone
I
cosplay as
guess.
Perrin Rogers now, please.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So go ahead.
You're good. So hopefully this isn't too spoiler. I think this was kind of already said in interviews afterwards. But does anybody know? Does Guidel Kane have a shield? Is there any like significance to the shield aspect at all? Obviously, I don't think no matter what, it would be a shield that could stop the one power.
A one power stopping shield that can be handed off from Tel'aran'rhiod.
Can I go to? Well, hold on, wait. When does Foxhead, without saying anything further, what book is that? Five?
That is book 4.
Okay. Okay, so I can go book 4 then.
Yeah, that is really good.
It's a Foxhead shield.
A Foxhead shield. Wow. Okay, that's an interesting. Wow, I didn't even think of that. That is quite the theory there.
That's the only. Well, that's the only thing that I can think of that stops the one power like that.
What is on that? What is on the shield? Is it a fox head? It's not. It's a wolf head, isn't it?
I doubt it.
Or an eagle. All right. Let's end this poll. Assuming we get Gaul, how will he meet Perrin? Let's see. About 66% of people saying Gaul comes searching for the maidens, and that makes sense. Gaul comes searching for the maidens or for the Karkarn, and is just one of the parties. Gaul, being a stone dog, was just lagging behind. Just took him time to get across the Westlands to Falma, while the maidens were just fast, and they got there first. And about 16 to 17% of people say, well, he doesn't meet him or Perrin saves him. So Perrin doesn't have to save him. People are saying it's the Hawk of Faldara, the Hawk of Shinar, and I think that yes, that makes sense because it's Uno's shield. Yeah, but let me ask people your Foxhead theory. Is the shield that Uno is it a fox head shield?
Add an extra one in there of we won't get an explanation.
Is it a fox head
because
shield
that's what I think
that Uno gives to Perrin, right? Yeah.
I will say I hopped on Wiki and did not see anything for Guidel Kane that mentions a shield specifically to answer your question, Silvertooth. Just the dual sword wielding that most of us, I think, remember.
Yeah. We will not get to know what the shield is. We will not get to know. I think it might get the loyal getting stabbed, or how loyal, or who there was another thing that wasn't explained in between seasons, and they did it so well that I don't even remember it anymore. I've moved on to those unanswered kind of questions. All right, so let me talk about this Dragon Mount a quote from Marcus when asked about that Avienda Perrin kind of scene, and talking about what his favorite scene was, and he talks about a few different, but he says, I think the scene where he releases her from the cage and they fight together, and even that little scene afterwards where he can't really gauge her humor, like at the campfire or whatever. I think that was a really nice part. So that part was a lot of fun, and the fact that Marcus liked it, I think let's take a look at that. We can't go without talking about Avienda and Perrin. Then giggle, that giggle that or whatever that was, chuckle giggle that Avienda has.
You do not dance the spears badly, Perrin Aybara.
I thought your people never left the West.
Wetlanders call it the Waste. It is the threefold land, a shaping stone to make us, a testing ground to prove our worth, and a punishment for the sin.
What sin?
Nobody remembers, it was so long ago.
Why did you leave?
I'm searching for the Karakarn, our chief of chiefs.
So where are you going, then?
Where you go, Wetlander.
What you just said, then?
I have tow. Tow? Giotto is the Aiel way. You saved my life. My water is yours.
Don't know about that.
It is not a lover, Wetlander. Though I would not be opposed. Don't worry, Perrin of Two Rivers. I will not attack you in a fit of lust. So, where will we go now?
Farm.
Yeah, so that again, just really good character kind of work, and even though their Avienda says, "Well, I will not attack you in a fit of lust." I'm trying to think who I asked to read last time. Maybe Jess. Let's go with you. Why don't you read this from Screen Rant? When asked about specifically, are we going to see a Perrin Avienda relationship?
It would be sweet. They get on really well, and it would be really interesting, but I wouldn't say so. That's not what it is, but I think what was really interesting watching it back is that it's kind of the first glimmer of someone even potentially flirting with him just for fun or whatever. He doesn't know if she's trying to kill him or flirt with him. And I think you see he's just not ready for that in any way, but I think it's interesting for his journey.
Yeah. So again, just like he's like, well, he's going to meet, people and women, and there's going to be the potential for relationships and romance. But I thought that was, at least to me, that was fairly definitive, as in no, that is not what we're going for. So I'll give this current poll to go on for a minute, but I think that is one that I want to ask is, will we, is there a chance that would happen? Robbie, do you think, oh, well, you're shaking your head. You're convinced?
Well, I think for one, because we have a certain casting that's, alluded to. It's not confirmed, obviously.
Yeah.
That involves Perrin. And well, we said we can be spoilers up to book 4. So Fael,
Yeah.
sounds like is probably in season 3. So I don't see why there would be any relationship, and I don't think there needs to be. I think it was a good scene. There's a friendship there, clearly. I think that'll continue. I don't see any reason for there to be a romantic relationship with that.
Yeah. It's pretty definitive. All right, I'm gonna end. Is it a fox head shield that Una gives to Perrin? It's a lowly 7% that are saying yes. So I don't know. I think I would. I think there's merit to this, because I haven't heard many theories that work with the metaphysics of the shield. But I think if it's a fox head shield, it can pretty much block the one power.
Yeah. Someone in chat just mentioned that it was because of the Heroes of the Horn. Um, so basically, just the fact that it came from Uno, it's a weapon from the Heroes of the Horn, and that's why it was able to do it. Um,
So,
and
so
if
yeah. So like loser metaphysics, it's like, well, because it's from Tel'aran'rhiod, it could do. It's just. Ooh, I'm not gonna say a certain phrase, because of spoilers, but it's that there's something about Tel'aran'rhiod that can maybe negate one power, I guess. Yeah, I think that works too. That makes sense. Let me ask our audience here. Will we see a Perrin Avienda relationship? Yes, no. And who wants to see another Perrin Rand love triangle? None of us, I think. So let's ask him that. I think and this is where it's just so awesome to see these interviews come out. But it was even more awesome is to see people that we know, people who we know are fans that we've interacted with, who are asking people questions that we want to ask them. So, of course, Omar asked, honestly, if I don't ask you this question, I will lose my Wheel of Time fan card. And again, it is a reference to the books, so answer it whichever way you will. But who's better at talking to women, Perrin, Rand, or Matt? Marcus, ooh, okay, I love that. I remember filming that scene with Avienda, but literally thinking like Rand would know what to do. I gotta say Rand. Certainly, look at it. I mean, Yosha, that's definitely for sure. Chuckles. So, we have a Marcus. I don't know if he answered that as Rand or Yosha, but there was a definitely pretty much both, right? But I do think that we need to ask. I'm pretty sure I could be wrong now that Omar asked Donald this too. So we only need.
I think so.
He must have. There's no way. I mean, it's been a while. I haven't done my Matt show yet, so I don't remember. But we'll get to that when we will. But
I want to say Donald answered Matt though.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's a very Matt answer, I would say. But let's have this kind of go through. The one thing I wanted to go back to was, that initially kind of calling back to the first episode, and we're talking about relationships, right? And we talked about Fael, but in the show we already had Perrin in a relationship. We had Layla. We had a little bit of a Layla reference that he was putting his ring on the Beltane lantern, and then he takes it back. So there's this one. The Collider, Carly Lane, asked Marcus about that specifically. And Robbie, why don't you read this for me?
There's a connection to Layla that is obviously the marriage and everything, but I think it's a connection to home and everything that he remembers, and the Two Rivers and everything there. As they go on their journey, they're being put further and further away from everything we knew at the start of episode 1. He's about to meet the Shan-Chan just around the corner, and there's just something about that moment. No matter how far he's come, he just wants to go home and away. That connection to Layla and the Two Rivers is something that he's not ready to give up.
Yeah, and so he does pick up that ring, and I really love this answer because, spoiler, we are going back to the Two Rivers, and it's Perrin who's going back, and I think
Can I add something to that though? Just so I read that in the article, and I love that, from Marcus's perspective. I will say that my perspective when I was watching it, without any insight to the article, was that additionally, in addition to it's a connection to home, it's a connection to Layla, it's also a connection to the Perrin that he wants to keep believing that he is. So keeps him rooted in a sense of identity that he's comfortable with and doesn't push him beyond his boundaries. And that that was my interpretation of it when I watched it, and then read this article and I was like, oh, okay. So, but that
Yeah.
was,
Yeah, no,
I
totally.
think that a lot of this earlier part of the season was about identity for him and how much it pushes him that his perception of his identity is changing.
Yeah, I think there he's trying to hang on to his past self, but you know we start by a big change where he's killed his wife, right? That's things you cannot come back from, right? At top of the list.
And
But
for a
not.
lot of people, going home is about going back to who we were, but the trick is you never really can, because
Mhm.
you're never going to be the same person you were when you left.
Yeah, this is true for a lot of people, and I could be wrong here, but from knowing people from when you move from your home to another place from an immigrant standpoint, your interpretation of the place you left is paused at the time you left it. So whenever you go back to that place, you expect it to be the same, and I think Perrin's in for a reality check when he goes back.
Yeah.
That the Two Rivers is not going to be what he wants it to be, and Lord Perrin Goldeneye is in his future. So yeah, like in terms of looking at the whole season, one of the things before we jump into the going back to Two Rivers and season 3, the big change, right, is, well, it's hard not to bring up, Perrin kills someone again, but Perrin kills someone again, right? He kills. He actually kills.
You need a button for that.
He actually kills not Dane, Jeffrey Bornhold, right? So maybe Jess, why don't you read this, and then I can go to you, Robbie, to talk about how big of a change that is from a character standpoint and what that means. So this is from Carter Lane again. No, sorry, this is Megan O'Keefe from Decider, and here we go.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Obviously, knowing how the relationship with Dane, how that develops moving forward and stuff we've been doing. I think it's really interesting. I think that loss of a life that he's experienced and then taking a life and how that sits with him moving forward. How that interaction with the White Cloaks goes moving forward. I think it's really, really interesting. I think it kind of elevates an element of jeopardy and severity there that is really, really exciting. I think there's just meaning to people's actions now because there's been consequences. I think that elevates stuff a lot.
Yeah, I think he talks not only about taking a life, he talks about the loss. He's obviously talking about Hopper. So I think so we now had Perrin further kind of, you feel like, well, he's made his whole journey. He started out with violence, learned about the Way of the Leaf, learned about violence in a different manner, close bond with Hopper, and then, well, he's kind of at square one in a way, because he's now again, done something that he probably at his core does not want to do, or is battling. So Robbie, what do you think? Is this a different Perrin we're going to see now from the books?
Yes and no. So obviously, because of changes that had already been made, such as Elias not being in book one, not having the White Cloak scene from book one, where Perrin kills 2 White Cloaks. Not having those scenes, we still got it, just in a different way. So obviously, Jeffrey kills Hopper. Perrin still reacts to that death by killing Jeffrey. So we're still, in a sense, getting the same thing. Obviously, just a different, a more known White Cloak that he's killing. Obviously the huge difference being that in the books, Dane only thinks he kills Jeffrem,
Right.
and now he saw with his own eyes, not not somebody else telling him that it happened, and it not happening. He saw with his own eyes that, in his eyes, it's going to be that Perrin completely murdered his father,
Yeah.
not fought in a battle. Like, he came out of nowhere and buried an axe in his chest. Um, so it drastically changes their dynamic. Um, that being said, I loved it. I think given the way they kind of had to change those scenes to season two, I think it made a lot of sense. Obviously, it is going to change things from later books that we won't get into for spoiler reasons. Um, but I think you could find other ways to go about that, or even just completely change things, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't be the biggest deal in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I guess before I ask you, just to kind of frame this in terms of differences, right? So, Perrin learns about his in the books, learns about his wolf powers, wolf kinship, and the White Cloaks attack him, and in a berserker rage, you can say, kills two White Cloaks. Does it matter, at least from Perrin's standpoint, whether it was Jeffrin or any White Cloak? I mean, it's a life in a way, right? So from Perrin's standpoint, his guilt over it, or his eventual arc of how this plays out in the books, can remain the same in the show. I think it changes obviously for Dane. A lot of people are talking about the semantics of whether it was a battle or not, and it clearly was, right? So it's a battle. It was his his partner, friend that was just killed. He lost himself in the wolf and killed someone, even though it was premeditated or whatever that may be. I think the big change is that what's better than false hatred? It's like true hatred.
Founded hatred.
Yeah, exactly. So how does that get resolved? And I think Samantha asked this. Let me try to find. Do you think Dane can forgive Perrin after this? And maybe that's a forgive is a strong word, I guess, but how does this get resolved, I guess, Jess?
So I also agree, right? Like, from a Perrin perspective, I think the guilt over taking a life and the stain on his soul, it makes no difference who the victim is. Although I will say there's something about the intentionality between him killing Dane still in the heat. I'm sorry, killing
Jeffrey.
Jeffrem still in the heat of the moment, but as a specific retaliation to Hopper. So I do think that elevates the intention a little bit. Whereas I feel a strong case can be made that in the books it was two White Cloaks and he was in hand-to-hand combat grappling, like literally
Yeah.
fighting for
Yeah.
his life.
Yeah.
I think those kinds of distinctions probably don't matter to Perrin in the
Right.
slightest, especially not in terms of the way that he internalized that guilt in the books going forward. I do feel like the huge difference is what it does for Dane. So Dane has seen him show humanity by asking Avienda to stay her hand and let him go, but has also witnessed him kill his father. And I think that I'm kind of interested to see how that goes, to have Dane's anger be grounded in more reality. I'm interested to see how that goes, because the secondhand nature and the way that he always just, even when folks tried to say it might not have been him, these could be, faulty reports.
Yeah.
Just the very fanatical, rabid, no, it was Perrin and he must die. So I kind of like this change. I'm curious to see. Everything that we've seen from Dane in his very small slivers is that he seems to be a relatively even keel individual. So let's see how he does with having seen both the best and the worst side of this person
Yeah.
in the space of, days.
Right, exactly. I like Mary. Hi, thank you for being here. Perrin carries guilt like a champ. Wonder if he has a list like Rand does. Um, yeah, you would almost think that Perrin is more likely to have a list than Rand. Um, at least the show version of it. So if people who have not read the books would expect Perrin to do that, and even though we people have called Rand brother sensitive, we know what goes on in his head much more in the books than not. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see that. People are talking about drunk Dane and influence of Fane. Drunk Dane influenced by Fane. That's a rap there somewhere. See, I thought I saw something else that was interesting. Something about Galad. I'm not sure how. And Farsighted was like, he should have killed Valda. Picked the wrong White Cloak. Dane would not have cared as much if it was Valda. I like how you're like, can someone just kill Valda? Is I think what you're trying to express there, but if it were that easy for the actual villain bat person to have been killed in that moment, Valda ran for it as soon as Hopper left. He does not have good memories of being attacked by wolves. There is, so it kind of brings us to looking forward, right? So look at season 3. We know we're going back to the Two Rivers, and that's the big arc that Perrin has. But are we at a point where he's going to look to the wolves, to the Wolf Brothers, to that aspect of it, to kind of move forward? Is he going to again shun himself or keep himself away from that? And are we now at the point where we're going to see the return of Hopper in the Wolf Dream? Robbie, what do you think? Is that what they have to kind of do now to make it work?
Yeah, I would expect with Hopper gone, that we'll probably get that version of Perrin that you know doesn't want to be the Wolf Brother, that wants to shut out the wolves, especially after retaliating, killing a person after Hopper's death. I think he'll want to shut that out, and then I think we'll get Hopper again in the Wolf Dream, and that will kind of make Perrin realize that this is a part of him that he needs to use and utilize, and that it's not this evil thing that made him do these things. So I think we'll get some kind of balance of that in the next season. So yes, I think we're seeing Hopper.
Yeah, I mean, that's one poll that I'm not even going to do because I think we all want to see Hopper again. So will we see Perrin Aviana relationship? About 92% of the voters say no, which I think is not just a feeling. I think Marcus has kind of alluded to that. So I think we go with we understand that. The fact that we're kind of getting to that point where I think his eyes are golden now. He's that there is a level up. He has leveled up, and I think from a standpoint of as he fully realized that, or how much of a realization he's had of that. I think Kari Lane in this Collider interview asks him that, and Marcus had this to say. I think who's it? Remind me who's it? Jess, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's me. I don't think he's like, I'm this person yet, but he's realized that it's something that he can't run away from. For most of season 1 and season 2, he's trying to avoid it, but it's within him, and it's an essential part of the prophecy. He starts to realize that some of these abilities have actually helped him and helped people and can help him understand the way he can track and understand things. It is something that can be used to his benefit and not to be seen as a curse as much as he's kind of viewed it throughout the story so far.
So yeah, I think that's important, that that we see that distinction. That, well, he knows he's not going to turn into a wolf, but he knows there are points where he can't control that part of him, but that he doesn't want to hide from it. So I think that is an important realization going forward, that he might still not want to become that person, but he's not going to not use his powers, which I think is important, which kind of goes with what happens in the books, right? He needs Hopper to help him, and he needs that push. So I think the big question, which we don't really have an answer for, I'm gonna put it out there before I ask you guys. Will we see Slayer? Because I think that is, we need. Will we see?
Oh,
I think,
darn.
yeah. I think Robbie mentioned that he was having internet issues, but will we see Slayer in season 3? So this is. Will we see? I forget what it's called. Wolf Killer? No, it's not. It wasn't as simple as that. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Yeah. Hey. Can you hear us? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I before you went, I said, well, the big question is, how do we change the dynamics of it? So sure, we have the White Cloaks, we have all these other people, but how does it happen in the books? It's actually Slayer, right? And the Wolf Dream. So will we see Slayer in season 3? And is he going to meet Hopper in the Wolf Dream and see wolves being killed? Someone please remind me of what what they call him. It's not as simple as Wolf
Lord
Killer.
Luke?
No, but I think there's something to that. But
I thought they called him Slayer.
Is that what the
wolves call him?
It might be. That might be it.
I could be wrong, but
yeah. But just what do you think? Are we getting Slayer? Are we getting Slayer in? Do we need another antagonist, or is Fane and Dane? Is that good enough?
I am feeling very optimistic today and full of hope, so I'm saying yes, we're getting Slayer.
Okay.
I do think that there's a possibility that they have enough villains, but I always kind of thought as Slayer as the yin to his yang, the evil wolf brother contingent, something that was twisted, something that in some ways, maybe I should stop talking. Something that in some ways.
Actually, no. Let's. I think we're deep into the night where we can do this. So we're
okay.
Going.
Well, I'll keep it broad.
I know, but still, I think we can slightly talk, because I think Slayer is a topic that can sometimes.
Yeah.
Because the reason to get Slayer is for many reasons, but because I put full book spoilers up there and it's been a few seconds. I mean, you want to see that ending too, right? Hopefully.
I do want to see that ending. And honestly, I am a sucker for a redemption arc. And I feel like everything about Slayer is the subconscious validation for Perrin that he was never broken or bad or wrong. I feel like that's subtext to that story. Above and beyond the import of him to the Wolf Dream, to Two Rivers, all of that. I feel like strictly from a character versus character perspective, that's the role that Slayer played for me through that arc. Yeah. And I would hate to see that not come to fruition for Perrin.
Yeah.
Because it's so personal, it's so meaningful for him on his journey as a wolf brother.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that comes up again and again throughout his arc. Robbie, for you, while I look up, because I'm remembering a Lord Luke casting or something too.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. So, do you think that is the Slayer casting?
Yeah, I would think so. And I think it makes a lot of sense. For one, I would actually say are we guaranteed to get Fane in the Two Rivers? Because you said Dane and Fane. I mean, for sure we're going to get Dane. I don't think we're guaranteed to get Fane. I think obviously it could still make sense. They could still do it. But I could also see them putting Fane somewhere else. So I think you could still get Lord Luke Slayer. And I think it would fit really well with Perrin and the Wolf brother aspect, because otherwise, just the wolf powers, I guess, would be really all you're getting in general. You know what I mean? This would be the wolf dream. It'd be a great way to introduce the wolf dream, and what Perrin can do in the wolf dream, and what somebody like Slayer is capable of doing, who's that much more experienced.
Yeah, for sure. I did find this. Let me see if. Yep. This is from what series? Season 3 Insights from New Audition Scripts from May of 2023. It talks about one side, which is about two scripts basically, talking about Shido, Aiel, very extremely interesting stuff that we're not going to talk about now. But there is this, one, a summary which talks about Lord Luke, and again, it's hard to know what this is. Yeah, so it's a character that's talking to Perrin, and Lord Luke comes up in that chat. If someone can find if there actually is a Lord Luke casting, because again, that just seems like something I remember happening.
I don't think so. I think it's just what you found there. I think it's the only thing we've gotten mentioned. I could definitely be wrong, but
but if someone remembers it or can find it, do share it with me. But I think that again, that's another layer of adding it. I like a lot of people are talking about Slayer is what the wolves called him, and no one Garden thinks you chase Slayer, young bull. He is hair in the flesh, and he can kill. And that is unfortunately what he does. He does kill a lot of wolves. I think there's one other, and I can read this. This is from Screen Rant. Again, talking about his golden eyes and what that means for Perrin. I think the image that you see at the end of season 2 with the eyes fully golden, that's the place we'll be picking up from, which I think is really exciting. There's this change within him. Without going into detail, people who know the books know Perrin's journey and know what happens, and it's really exciting what's going on in season 3 for all the characters. There are some really cool, exciting people and exciting moments, and for those who know the book or know what happens, hopefully we've done it proud. It's been really, really exciting to work on. So I felt like a lot of the other people gave more than Marcus did whenever anyone asked him about season 3. He was like, I don't know how much I can say, so it's really good though. That's kind of the gist of what Marcus said. And so I don't know if that gives you much, but he just talks about, I think I think that's the one we just showed. Benicia, the audition script. Maybe there's another one, but I don't know why we know that someone has been cast, and people I think are trying to that one person who are like, who could this be? And everyone's like, that looks like Lord Luke. I think that might have been it. It might have been a strong fan casting for a person that we believe is in the show. I think that might be it. Anything else that caught your eyes? Robbie, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I was just gonna say on the on him talking about season 3, I think a lot of what he just kind of alludes to, his comments made me think that it's going to be much closer to the books than we've gotten. Just he kind of alludes to the storyline a lot. Like what happens in the books. What happens in the books. He says that numerous times in the movies, so which is exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Two Rivers arc is basically the first arc for one of our main characters where they actually, not that they reach full potential, but like level up a lot. It's a huge battle, and it's the kind of the first one where we see Perrin lead, even though he doesn't.
What,
Yeah.
which I just wanted to touch on that because I think they've done a really good job of setting that up with his time with the Shinarans.
Yeah.
He's been able to see leaders, whether it's Inktar Uno,
Mhm.
you know, in those scenarios. So he's kind of got more of a background with that than he does in the books. Because in the books, it's kind of just like, well, he's Tavern, like
Right. Yeah. No, totally.
which hasn't been explored a lot in the show. So I think they can lean on his experience a little bit more.
Yeah. Jess, thoughts on season 3, Perrin, in terms of Shadow Rising arcs? Anything that you're particularly looking forward to?
I mean, is it too much to say all of it? Because I'm just really, I am another one that thinks The Shadow Rising is one of the top tier books of the series.
So they say.
So they say.
Not
And
honest though.
I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. Shadow Rising is number 2 for me. I think the thing that I want to see, we can fight that over a pint sometimes. I think the thing I want to see most is the Wolf Dream. I
Yeah.
think I'd like to see, and I think we have that gateway, right? So I'm eager to see if we're going to see another wolf approach Perrin, or if it's Hopper coming to him while he's asleep in the dream. I'm curious to see how that, because I agree that I think that he's going to be withdrawn and try to pull back from his wolf brother nature. And he'll have to be broken out of that a little bit, because that seems to be where I think his guilt will take him.
Yeah.
But I really, there's a lot there. The Two Rivers arc is absolutely one of my favorites. And I'm ready to see some serious Wolf Dream action.
Yeah. I think the fact that they've set up Tel'Runryard, the Wolf Dream, seems like a perfect way to continue to show that, right? And how powerful that can be. It's let's see, 83% of people do think we're going to see Slayer in season 3. I think so too. I think it's just how do you get to the next level, right? Like how do you raise the stakes? And I think Forsaken, we've seen Forsaken, and if we don't add a Forsaken level threat to Perrin, we need something more than just Dane. But it's there needs to be a little bit more. I think the one other thing is, will we see Helena Westerman, right? I want to say this. I want to spell her name right. Will we see Layla?
Like in flashback?
Yeah,
form?
exactly. In the Wolf Dream or anything like that, or flashback. In season 3, are they going to kind of dig into that aspect of Perrin's past? Maybe I can just get I'll have chat vote, but a quick yes or no from the two of you. Robbie, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think we could see whether it's a flashback or whether it'd be kind of weird to put her in the Wolf Dream, I guess.
Can't be Hopper Avatar. We don't want that. No.
No, I don't know. I guess it could work, but it would. I don't know. It'd be a little off for me.
But it's
But I can
not
see
hard to
flashback.
imagine him like having a dream about her, and Hopper interjects and pulls him out.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I think
yeah,
that might
that
be
could work.
more
That could work.
realistic. I think it would be really taking it away where Hopper is like, like a deep growlish voice coming out of Layla's mouth. No, I don't think that would work. But yeah, Jess, you seem to be how would you
So
vote?
again, completely arbitrary criteria that I make up on the spot. I'm feeling super hopeful today. I'm going with yes. We're gonna get Layla. Kind of like we got Natty Cawthon callbacks here for Matt. And we know that these are quality cast that, just had the poor luck of drawing really short scripts. So it'd be great to see her come back and put a little more depth into Layla.
Yeah, I mean, she was given the very little screen time that she'd had. A fan favorite, I would say, from that perspective. So yeah, let's see how people vote on that. I have one last, or maybe a couple, but there's one that's fun that I thought I had read somewhere, and then when I got to looking, I saw it and I was like, oh, that's great. And this is again, Omar asking Marcus this from what series, specifically about deleted scenes, and he was like, "Oh, do you know about the Inktar deleted scene?" And Marcus is like, "Oh, has that been shown?" And Omar, had to say, "Well, no." But then Marcus still talked about it, so that's good. So he says, "Yeah, I think I can't remember what others. I know for episode 1, there was a chat with Inktar." And I think people know Inktar's arc in The Great Hunt. You might not know if it fully came to fruition if you watch the season. It still plays out really interestingly, and I think Greg Chillingrian, I hope I'm saying that right, played it beautifully. The idea of what Inktar has been holding this whole time, and all that kind of stuff, and the kind of a reveal in a sense, but I think that's what it would be. So this is a season episode 1 chat, season 2 episode 1 chat, and not a end of season. No man can walk that long in the shadow to not come back to the light. But I feel like either Rafe or someone has alluded to that deleted scene, so I'm hoping that we see that. I don't know if Twitter Chaos is listening to us here, but someone listening out there, that's what would be great for I don't know, Jordan Con, WatCon, yeah, like that any of the amazing cons, right? If there's one, if we're going to get deleted scene, if we get an Inktar end a reveal, if they did shoot that would be great. And I feel
especially saying that line, it's that such line, a good line.
Yeah, we need that line. Yeah,
I think of all the things that get cut, I think that's probably the most notable quote so far that I was like, oh gosh, I do miss that.
You're notably noting that.
With knowing nods.
Yeah, let's see. What con would be perfect? A lot of people are saying what con.
All of them?
I said WatCon just because they've released deleted scenes before.
Yeah.
So I think
Jordan Con, they've been gracious enough to do little Q&As.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember there being so much behind the scenes
like a cast. I think a cast. Yeah. Usually they did Ben and Chia. They did Avienda the year before. I think that's, and we've gotten deleted scenes at WatCon for sure. Let's see. This is just from a fandom perspective. This is interesting. This is just fun. Again, Omar asking fan questions, talking about memes, and he says, "Have you seen memes in the fandom?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do a little bit. I think it was all quite a lot when we first started. So it kind of just was a bit like, I'll just go over here." But I think what's been really lovely is kind of dipping into it and seeing how much people are loving it, and especially season 2. The love for season 2 has really meant a lot to all of us. And the fandom and the memes, I mean, the amount of stuff you can get from Lanfear and all those little bits is just incredible. There's a meme where the characters, and I think knowing what happens in season 3 is just, it's just the amount of characters who come in, it's just so exciting. I don't know what he's saying here. And he's like, there's a meme where the characters, and I think knowing what happens in season 3 is just, what does that even mean?
I think he was trying to say it's just like, it's awesome.
I know.
I have to stop and point out how you enunciated Lanfear. You said Lanfear like stronger than you said anything else in this.
This is unfortunately the sort of energy, right? That you hope you get certain things when you go into this role. Unfortunately, Lanfear is one that is stronger than the others. That just comes with the chair, with the cudgel, I guess. But it's. I think it's also because there have been so many Lanfear memes, and I think Marcus has seen them. I think there's one more that I liked, because I think we ended up getting this from Marcus, and I don't know the chronology of this, but Omar asked, if you keep giving us behind the scenes dance moves from Marcus, that'll be fantastic. We'll use it if they come. And Marcus just laughed. And I'm pretty sure on his Instagram that we did we did get this. I'm gonna try to find this while maybe I won't be able to find this. I'll try. While I ask both of you, from a rating standpoint or ranking standpoint, Marcus Rutherford as Perrin from a full Wheel of Time adaptation till now, is a top three character for you, or yes or no? I guess the simple, in terms of Perrin as Marcus as Perrin. And again, this is not a Marcus has been amazing. But in terms of how much I know, Robbie, you like Perrin, what has your feeling been? Innkeeper Hatch is over the moon with Lanfear, right? Like this is the best thing that could have happened, right? So in that perspective, Perrin fans, are we happy?
Overall, yes. I'll say I think what I'm the happiest about at this point is that I see the progression. So I think it's just going to get bigger and better as they're able to do more with the Wolf Brother aspect. Look, it's probably the most difficult character in the series to bring to life, because the best parts of Perrin take place in his head. And some of the best parts of the Wolf Brother aspect take place in his head. The smelling of emotions, the internal dialogue he has of himself based on those emotions. It's an impossibly difficult character to bring to life. So that being said, I am very happy. I would not put Show Perrin in my top three, but that is so much because, look, Lanfear blew me out of the water. And I am not a Lanfear fan from the books. Not going to pretend to be. Part of it is that I do love Natasha, Peaky Blinders, huge fan. So it didn't hurt that she played Lanfear, but it was her performance. She was fantastic and written very well as well. And then just other characters, I thought Rand has been great. Things like that. So either way, I'm definitely happy with Perrin, and I think next season is just going to expound on that. So
yeah, I think Lanfear, Leandrin, and Rand, I think this has just been amazing. I mean, that's so hard not to say Nynaeve or Egwene and Rosamund, right? like Moraine, like just so good. I think not that Perrin gets lost. I think Perrin is probably the most, again, this sounds wrong saying it, but the most improved character between the seasons. I think Perrin did a lot more, and they've talked about how, not that it's a Perrin and Rand season, but there are Perrin and Rand aspects of season 3 that are really strong. So I think that's going to be good to look forward to. Just anything to add to that conversation?
No, I'm kind of in the same boat as Silvertooth. I want to say he's in my top 5. I don't think I can say he's in my top 3, but also like the action of the first few books aren't it's not very parent centric. So as those of us who've been through the series know, like everybody kind of gets a turn and does a lot of growing in different parts of the series. And I think we're about to go into some great meat for character growth. And to Silvertooth's point, so much of Perrin is subtext. It is not dialogue. It's not even necessarily action. It's stuff that I'm interested to see how he portrays it on the screen. I think that he has certainly internalized some of that, looking through these articles, going back and rewatching those scenes after seeing what he said about being told to hold back in the combat scenes. I could see that. You know what I mean? I could absolutely see that. And so I think that he's putting in that effort, and I do get a sense of Perrin from him, and I think it's only going to get better.
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. Let me start our giveaway for tonight. So if you stuck around, put -- raffle in chat. It should start now for a chance to win a mug. I'm for some reason continuing to commit to sending a mug, and that's what people have told me that feels better. So that's what I'm doing. It is much faster if you would just like an email from me that has a gift card. But there is not that it takes anything longer. It's just a different mindset to go into. Let me actually show you guys these wonderful pictures of Perrin. Don't know if I can go full screen with this, but I guess this should be good enough. So this is him and Kalupinka, who plays Hopper. But I think the one I wanted to show you that Omar asked for was some dance moves. So this
was so good.
This.
No, I don't think this is the one.
Is there another one? This is the latest one. I mean, there's the one where he's does his like kind of hand thing, right? Like there's that one. Yeah, but
that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, so I think that's the one that got memed.
Older.
Yeah, so that's got memed like 2 years ago or whenever. And then I know was like, hey, we'd love more Perrin dance stuff. And I think this came. I'd like to. No, this is before that. So maybe he's just we were getting our collection of Perrin dance moves. There's also the dinosaur something. I'm forgetting now. There's like a dinosaur legs or something that on the blue carpet premiere, there was some mention that Marcus did of like, oh, there's this one, a prank. It was a prank thing. And there's something about dinosaur legs or dinosaur something, and he starts saying it, and he gets pulled away, so we never get to find out what it is, and it's like this big mystery, at least in my head, that what is that prank? I think it's to do with Egwene and with Maddie and and Marcus. But yeah,
I think what's funnier is that it was a prank on us, and he purposely got pulled away in the middle of the story,
right,
never to tell the story.
Yep. That definitely could be true. That yeah. Let's see. All right, people are while people put in their raffle entries, let me show you guys what's coming up in the next couple of weeks here. We're continuing this series, so next week is one that I've been looking forward to a lot, because we got a plot line from Moraine and Lan that was not made up, but new and different, and
Expanded.
there was definitely a lot of discussion about the Maria and Lat plotline. So we're gonna dig into that and talk about them too. And after that, the week after that, we'll talk about Egwene, because I think one of the strongest kind of arcs that we had was Egwene, and what happened with the Shanshan. And that, and in the weeks after that, I do have something that I am planning with a group of new content creators that I'm planning to invite, hopefully in the next couple of weeks here at the Dusty Wheel. So look to our social media to see some announcements about that, and I'll have an episode, I think, in the next few weeks with them, digging into Logain. But the one other that I had planned that we will eventually get to is Matt Cawthon, and what Donal has been saying in his recent interviews. So a few more of these that to talk about, and then digging into some of the other characters. So that's what's coming up. People are putting in their raffles, so I'll end that in the next few minutes. Guys, what do you think? Season 3, January 2025 this time. How close would we be? Would we have a trailer by now? Would we have a release date? Jess? How optimistic are you still?
Not that optimistic. I think...
So January 24th, 2025. Wait, it's 2024, right? So January 24th in 2025.
I don't think we'll get a release date before like midsummer.
Okay. So wait. So midsummer. Wait. Okay.
Well, I think we'll get a release date announced by this summer.
Okay.
For sometime next year. That's what I honestly think.
Okay.
But I don't think... I'd like to think it's going to be 2025. I'd even be happy with January 2025. I'd be thrilled. I just don't think we're going to hear anything about it until about 6 months from now.
Yeah, I do think, I mean, Robbie, but like, it's a year out from now, but not that I don't feel ready, but if it's a year out, I can wait a year. That's easy. Somehow it doesn't seem like too far.
Yeah.
Somehow it seems not close, but not like far.
Just give us something, man. Just give us something. That is the tone.
Do you think we will have a trailer by this time next year?
Maybe not a full trailer. I think we'll have a teaser by then. I'm still on the train that we're gonna have. It's gonna be sometime. It'd be late Q1 or early Q2, and I'm on the train of we're gonna get a Super Bowl commercial finally.
All right. Okay. Wow. You just made Rajesh really happy.
Yeah.
With
that's where me and Rajesh are both on that.
Yeah. So
wait. So you're saying what?
Not
that
this
next
Super Bowl.
Year's not this Super Bowl, next Super Bowl. But what are you saying?
Trailer, right?
That's when the trailer will air.
One of the trailers. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because season 3 has finished filming, correct?
I don't think it's completely.
I don't think it's completely done. Yeah, I don't think so. Because at least last time around, we got this kind of sizzle reel sort of thing saying season 3 is done. And at least, Omar asked in December when he did the interviews and they came out, asked Marcus, are you done? And he's like, nearly, or something. He said something like almost or something. So I think they're still not completely wrapped. They're wrapped in Prague, but not everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they still have some other localized filming they're doing.
I think it's definitely South Africa.
Actors.
Yeah, I think definitely South Africa that they still haven't done. All right, I'm going to end our giveaway here and see who's won here, and then say good night. All right, I'm gonna pick a winner. Christian Rapper, congratulations! You have won a Dusty Will mug. Let us know if you're in chat and reach out to me. If you're on Twitter, if not on Discord, get in touch and we'll get that to you. Finally, I like that. I like that's yes. That yeah. Hey, you it's only been over 4 years that the Dusty Wheel's been around. Hopefully, you've been around for Christian for a lot of that.
Definitely recognize the name. He's been around.
Yeah, exactly. So the rest of the folks who have been, have you guys ever won a mug? No,
Nope.
no.
I just broke down and bought my own.
Yeah. I won a mug in February of 2022, I think. It luckily won. Yeah. I usually, I would say I'm not an unlucky person, but I'm no Matt, but congratulations, Christian. Get in touch and we'll get that to you. All right, like I said, Moraine land next week. Both of you guys, thank you so much for talking Perrin with me, and we'll hopefully we get more news. I really want to start getting some more news, and so we can start talking about that stuff and breaking it down and doing some zooming, enhancing all of that stuff. The sort of stuff that we here at the Dusty Wheel love to do. So I have to share this. Yes, that unfortunately is guilty. I am guilty of that. But as we say around here, good night from the Dusty Wheel. And smash the black.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. You went right to kill it. Look at you, you're all ready. You're just done. I mean, this is like this is
really well. And now I'm like, great, my turn.
And if you don't like that and you want to say, well, Robert Jordan could have made the two rivers all white. He could have, but he didn't. So
Just complimented me on my dress, and as you can clearly see, I'm not wearing white.
I see Lukumi as something along the lines of a Shida Haran analog.
It does make sense why it outlasted the breaking.
Yeah.
See, this is why I have Therese in the show, because she's going to correct everything that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dusty Wheel Show. What? Meme Off Challenge. Yay!
Like baby face mounted on like a huge body. So like all of a sudden,
this is not just a traditional fantasy, right? There are sci-fi
and
elements.
Just a moment ago, Rafe tweeted something. So let me get my guest in here with me, and
probably I would say
let's
put
get
in
talking.
70-80% of the work. I got to be over the shoulder.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. I'm your host, the Innkeeper, and this is your live call-in talk show all about the Wheel of Time. And tonight is a special show because tonight is the first show from the Tarvalon location of the Dusty Wheel. There are neither. So this was a year ago, tomorrow. So tonight is like almost anniversary of me being an Innkeeper, so January 25th, 2023. It's kind of crazy that it's already been a year. So that's why another year later is like, I'm like, oh, year went by fast. A year from
good point.
from today is not going to.
It's nothing. You can do it with your eyes closed.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a pretty good start. I thought. I haven't listened back to that. It was as good as can be expected, I think, from
you were very confident, very smooth.
Yeah, very Innkeeper. Yeah, exactly. But I was like, hey, a little encore to kind of say thank you. I mean, Matt's not listening, but it's been fun doing this. Didn't think I was going to be doing this by myself. Obviously, Brian's helping out, but kind of taking reign for a good 6 months while Matt took some time off. Chatting with him a few days ago, and he was like, it's really cool where you like don't have to reach for your phone and like look up something on social media where you like that goes away because it's been about a month that he's been away kind of from social media. So he's like, hey, I'm doing a lot more things. So yeah, he's having fun. But yeah, thank you all for being here, for supporting the Dusty Wheel and supporting me the last year. Yeah, I see you guys in chat. All right, and again, as we say around here, good night and smash the black.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. You went right to kill it. Look at you, you're all ready. You're just done. I mean, this is like this is one
really
of the
well.
biggest scenes.
And now I'm like, great, my turn.
And if you don't like that and you want to say, well, Robert Jordan could have made the two rivers all white. He could have, but he didn't. So
Just complimented me on my dress, and as you can clearly see, I'm
Sad.
I see Nakomi as something along the lines of a Shida Haran analog.
It does make sense why it outlasted the breaking.
Yeah.
See, this is why I have Therese in the show, because she's going to correct everything that
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dusty Wheel Show. What? Meme Off Challenge. Yay!
Carol's like baby face mounted on like a huge body. So like all
This
of
is
a
not
sudden,
just
it's
a
like,
traditional fantasy, right? There are sci-fi
And
elements.
just a
for
moment
those that are
ago,
kind of interested.
Rafe tweeted something. So let me get my guest in here with me. And
probably, I would say, put in 70-80% of the work. I got to be over the shoulder and be like, no,